if it sounds fine, then it's probably just something with the
Some
latest
software.
update.
Yeah, which is weird because you have the same thing,
Hmm?
or it's which is weird because you pretty much have the same thing though, right?
Yeah, well, I'm running on a PC though. I'm not running on.
Oh, okay, yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
because like
Yeah,
I know the latest. What is it? Was Sonoma the newest?
iOS. See,
Whatever the
Sequoia.
Sequoia.
Yeah,
I don't know if
so
that messed with anything.
but that was the only. That's the only difference. So
Yeah, that would be
yeah,
that would be the only difference. So I
yeah,
don't know. Sometimes when you update the iOS on a Mac, it just kind
yeah,
of messes with a bunch of different stuff. The Mac
yeah.
performs well, but anything that plugs into it, maybe not.
Right.
Thanks for tuning in to Yappin N Shxt, where we as brothers and friends hop on the mics and have conversations. Sometimes they're serious, sometimes they're not. Sometimes we react, and sometimes we just yap. We appreciate you tuning in and hope you enjoy the episode.
Well, let's jump into our episode. That was a that's kind of like a weekly thing the past couple weeks for those listening that we're just computer problems, right? As we get older, we want to thrive and catch up on technology, but we might be at that age, man, where, well, at least for me, where technology is going to start to outrun me, and I'm gonna be like our parents and our grandparents' age, where, you know, where things outperform me. And but I hope not. I mean, technology these days. I mean, things are getting pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to keep up for a little bit.
Yeah,
Going back to the
yeah,
last episode, I mean, you just downloaded the app for your airlines, which
yeah,
is kind of
yeah,
funny. I'm sure people got a kick out of that because they're like, "What the
yeah.
hell?"
No, man, I never do that, and honestly, that's one of the biggest lifesavers because it's like it's it's down to the second updates.
Yeah,
For the most part, where you have signal, and typically you have signal everywhere, all over the world. You know, that's like a
yeah.
lifeline. Um, but yeah, speaking of that, we could jump into our topics of the night. Speaking about dated stuff, you remember Redbox?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think about it, right? You think about Blockbuster, you think about when Netflix used to mail out CDs, and then you forget about Redbox. But Redbox was a
Yeah.
big time of our generation, of our lives. It's you lose the big box store like Blockbuster, but then you get Redbox in all these street corners, and you could rent popular movies that just came out for like $1. Well,
Yeah.
Redbox just went bankrupt. Um, and apparently they are having a hard time right now. Well, specifically stores that partner with them, like Walgreens, CVS, they're having a hard time removing
The
the
machines.
kiosks in the
Yeah.
field. Yeah, because apparently all of them weigh nearly almost 1,000 pounds, and many of them can't just unplug and pick up and go. Many of them are tied, to the circuit of the building, so you need an electrician to disconnect them as well. And so,
Yeah.
check
It's
this
kind
out.
of, well, you have
Yeah.
to
Oh
also
God.
think like how many DVDs and
Oh yeah. What happens to
CDs
that?
and
Right? Does it go back
games.
to the studio? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. Like, what do you, yeah,
yeah.
because like
Like who owns the license for that? Right?
right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, because it's one of those things, right? Because I mean, I often, well, maybe not often. Uh, I went to Redbox to do or get movies and stuff, but
What, recently?
obviously, but no,
Yeah.
before streaming,
Everything is
obviously.
streaming now, right? Yeah. Everything's
Yeah,
streaming
yeah,
now.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say like obviously when it first came out, like Netflix was a thing, and then it went to streaming. But then there were some things that weren't on Netflix that were at Redbox, so you went to Redbox, or you had friends that didn't have Netflix, so you
Mhm.
just had Redbox. But no, I went to Redbox to get video games. So when they started doing video games,
Yeah, I remember
like
that.
for the Xbox and the PlayStation and stuff,
Yeah.
at Redbox you could just rent the game
Right.
because you couldn't go to Blockbuster or something like that in GameStop. You have to buy things.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you could just rent it out for a week or whatever it was. even longer, I think, depending on how much
I
you.
think it was about that time. Yeah.
Yeah. If you really wanted to try out a game before you actually bought the game, that was the cheapest way to do it. Just go rent it for a couple days and see what it was like.
Yeah.
Um, but it was one of those things too, like where cloud gaming came into play, like
Hmm.
Xbox and PlayStation and stuff. Everything's a digital download now. You can even just stream games,
Yeah.
not stream to like Twitch or YouTube or
Hmm.
any of
Hmm.
those things, but like
Like stream
but
download.
stream download a
Yeah.
game, like just cloud play. Because because I tried that the other day with I had my Xbox on and I was like, oh, what can I play in this just to see.
Yeah.
And there was like, there's a whole library of just like cloud
Oh
games that
hell
I
yeah.
can just, you don't even have to download the game. You literally just play it
Nope.
off the cloud. You have it'll create a save file on your physical
Hmm.
device or you're actually even just the cloud. But you don't have to take up like data or
No
not necessarily data, but like
space.
space
Yeah.
on your
Yeah.
hard drive, for instance. So yeah,
It's
it's kind
crazy,
of
man.
it is. So to your
Yeah.
point, like yes, that is outdated, and we have come to a point in technology where we can just play games from the cloud, just like
Yeah.
straight up, and not even necessarily. Obviously, that's a paid service to do, but you don't even have to use your very valuable space, because there's some
Hmm.
games that I obviously have on my hard drive or even on my computer
Yeah.
that you need because they're so large, and
Yeah.
because there's so many details and things and processors and everything in the game itself. It's just better to have it downloaded. But
Yeah.
for those gamers out there, the feeling and the struggle when you have to have an update to a game that you have, like say Destiny or Halo for the Halo heads
Yeah.
out there. Those games are like 70 to 80 gigabytes of your
Yeah.
storage, and then it's like, oh, there's a new season, you have to update your game. And then you're like, oh, okay, I just wanted to play it, but let me hop on this real quick. And then it's like a 30 gigabyte download and you're like, oh, there's not enough space to do the download
Yeah.
for this update, so you have to either move some stuff or delete a game that's previously been on your whatever Xbox, PlayStation kind of thing. And
Hmm.
then you sit there for 5 minutes like going through and actually debating on which games or save data you want to delete. Because
Yeah.
save data will save on there. It doesn't take up much space, but then it's like, man, I was just playing this game the other day, but it's taking up 80 gigs and I need
Yeah.
40 and I only have 30, but I don't have a game that's like 10 gigs. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I
But the age
digressed.
of yeah, but the age of convenience, man. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, however, I don't miss the price because, like, you could get like any new movie that just came out on Redbox for like dollars, right? I think what
Yeah.
the most expensive was like $5. I don't know. I don't think it ever went that
It's been a
expensive, to be
while.
honest.
I
Yeah.
can't.
I rent a couple movies, that I can't get on streaming services, right? And like, for example, I just rented a movie last night. I wanted to watch this like brand new horror movie. It sucked, by the way. A lot of horror movies sucks right now. But anyways, I rented this movie, wanted to watch it because it looked very interesting. I won't name the name on record, but the movie sucked.
Well, I
Interesting
mean, for
take though.
those
Yeah.
wandering folks.
No, we'll talk about it later. Ask me in the comments. But film wise, the film, how do you say it? Filmography, whatever. Just the technical aspect of the film was
Yeah.
great, right? The score, everything. Just the scariness. There's a lot of plot holes, whatever. But I remember when a movie, because I rent movies all the time, when a movie is fresh out the theater or wherever it was and released for streaming for rent, um, it costs almost $20 to rent it for a total of 48 hours. And usually what I do is I wait a couple months, and then at its cheapest, it's between $3 to $5 to rent for the same time period, right? $3 to $5. Actually, plus tax, you're probably looking at mid above $5 no matter what. I miss the red box days. Like, it's crazy because like you're literally getting a physical product that you're liable for, right?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
breaking. But then streaming costs a lot more when it's almost as simple as accidentally clicking the purchase button. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just the age we live in. We're paying for the convenience, right? I'm sure the studios that are like Amazon, for example, that's my go-to service that I use to rent it from the platform that I'm using. I'm sure they're paying, a lot of money for the license to do so. And so, they mark it back up even higher for us consumers to rent. So I digressed as well. But I miss the Redbox days. Because think about it, man. Yeah, when I was reading this article, you're right. They didn't even talk about what they do with the physical products, like the games and the DVDs that are in there. For those kids that are listening, look up what a DVD is. You probably don't know what it is. But they said that once they actually remove the kiosk, they're just going to strip it and sell it for scrap metal, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm sure whatever, not Blockbuster, we talked about this recently and it finally came to fruition. What's that big box electronic store? Big one, the famous one. Everyone goes to it.
Best Buy.
Yeah, Best Buy. You know
Yeah.
how Best Buy was the first to make the move to like get rid of all their DVD section and stop selling it.
Yeah.
So whatever they're doing with it, I'm sure Redbox is probably doing the same thing. With the CDs. But one final point, Walgreens, which is one of the biggest, I guess, tenant,
Yeah. I think like
for
Walgreens and
Redbox.
Safeway are like
Yeah,
two of the biggest ones.
right. Um, they're spending across 3,800 stores, so 3,000 stores currently. They're spending almost $184,000 a month on bills, electricity, just for the kiosks to sit there and eat up power. So
That's
so
crazy.
if there's anybody who wants to get rid of it, I mean that's 180K a month. Sure, these are billion-dollar corporations, but I'm sure they could do something else with with this with that money. So
Well, what is that math wise? You said 184,000
a month. How
divided
much is
by
that a
how
year?
many? About five. You said 54?
Let's say about 4,000 stores.
4,000. Right. So
Yeah. Well,
units.
no, they're spending across 4,000 stores, so not per
Yeah.
store.
More like kiosks, right? Like how many
Yeah,
kiosks
yeah.
though? Because I mean, there's
Oh,
some kiosks
kiosks.
that
Oh,
have
I see
like
what you're saying.
two.
Yeah, there's
You know what
about
I mean?
24,000 kiosks. You're right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's what you were doing. Sorry.
184,000 divided by, let's say, that many kiosks. So each kiosk is pulling, it's actually not that bad. It's like
What?
$34 per kiosk.
Yeah, not too bad.
I mean, that's
It
still a
was.
lot of power, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
$34 worth of power.
yeah,
I mean, that sucks a lot of things over
yeah.
time.
Right.
And,
Um.
and to the point, like some of these things are like built into the buildings.
Yeah, yeah. That's why they're saying like most of
Yeah.
these kiosks, you can't just pick them up and go. They
Yeah.
require like an electrician and possibly like another construction worker to like, open up the wall, reframe the wall probably, you know. Oh, and
Yeah.
by the way, this is not typical like wood frame structures. This is like
Yeah.
concrete.
Like concrete,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like these,
So,
most of these stores. Dang.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure Walgreens and CVS, Safeway, whatever, who the tenants were, I'm sure they made big profits in Redbox's prime because you have to, it's kind of like vending machines, right? Like if you're a vending machine owner, you work a deal out with whoever's tenant space that you're putting a vending machine in. I'm
Yeah.
sure Redbox was paying a lot commission profits. Um, so, but now that technology moved on, I'm sure Walgreens didn't think about you know um, old technology, right? But I'm sure it wasn't their issue. All they had to do was just supply the electricity, right? So I'm sure they didn't spend on their employees to think about, hey, what 10 years from now, streaming is going to take over everything. We should think about removing the kiosk. I'm sure they never thought about that. Um, but
Yeah.
one more, yeah, another thing that,
I didn't realize
uh,
that the owner of Redbox was Chicken Soup for the Soul.
oh, for real.
I did not know that.
Crazy fun fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy fact.
Yeah.
For those that read those books, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
In other the news related technology, I think this one, I think you'll have a better laugh at it than I will. But so you know how we're talking about everything's going to convenience, streaming, right? Gaming, everything.
Yeah,
Well, your countrymen company, Nintendo,
I was gonna say
actually
which
went,
one.
yeah, Nintendo decided to release. Everyone was like hyped up, right? That they were going to release the news about the Switch 2, but instead they decided to release another hardware called Alarmo, which is $100 alarm clock.
Oh,
Um, and what do you think about that? I mean, apparently, I mean, I'm just kind of reading bits and pieces. Apparently, Nintendo since 2014 wanted to kind of get into like the health field as well. You know, like how everyone like your Apple Watch is able to read your heart rate,
yeah. Well, we have
track
to
your
remember.
sleeping.
We have to remember that Nintendo was like kind of the first one to really kind of get into the fitness realm, right?
Oh, which
Because
one?
with
Oh, you're talking about the Wii
Wii
or like the
Fit,
Wii Fit?
yeah, Wii
Oh, yeah,
Fit,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're right.
So
So,
like
anyways,
that, there was a lot of that where
that's a good
like we had
point.
to do that, and then obviously the other things followed suit. Xbox had Connect,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
You're
PlayStation
right.
had
You're right. I did
PlayStation
not think
Eye or
about that.
whatever the hell it was.
That's why it's
So
your countryman, man. That's why I leave it up to you to
yeah,
provide
yeah,
some more facts. But
yeah,
so they're a little late, but they're trying to a little snippet of this for who's listening and is wondering that, why the hell Nintendo's big on releasing this product. It's more than just an alarm clock. It's supposed to function as like a health device as well. What that entails, still a
like a
lot to figure out.
sleep tracker, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's supposed to be like a sleep tracker, like even to the point of like it's supposed to track like your movements during your sleep, like how much you're
Yeah,
tossing and turning. Um, but other than that, it has like I want to say up to 20 preloaded scores from popular Switch games, like like Zelda, stuff like that. That's supposed to like act as your alarm clock. Apparently
yeah.
there's also an option that it grows or the alarm grows increasingly louder the more that you snooze it or don't tap it off.
Well, I mean, hey, let's be honest. That's actually a
Yeah,
good feature.
yeah, yeah.
God damn, that's so loud.
But if I was gonna buy something like this, if I had a man cave or something that like I had a gaming setup room or whatever, um, this would just be honestly uh like a novelty item that I probably won't even set up. Just like open it, not even plug it in or have the battery. Just be like, how cool is that I got one of the first Nintendo alarm clocks, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, but what do you think
sure.
about it?
Yeah,
Would
I
you get
mean,
it?
huh?
Would you get it?
Would I get it?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those items that I'm just like, I'm not quite sure. It seems interesting.
yeah,
Clearly, it has like a motion detecting camera of some sort.
right.
Um, I don't know how it really turned it. Obviously their tagline is like, "Turn your morning routine into a real life video game," and I'm like, huh?
Yeah,
Like
right.
maybe there's something. Well, here's my thought. Right, is that what it probably does is it probably integrates Bluetooth to your phone. There's probably an app on your phone because how
Yeah,
else are you going to track your data? Um,
yeah,
so there's probably a connectivity thing there with your phone, like some sort of app, like Pokemon Sleep, for instance, another Nintendo thing. Pokemon Sleep, they came out with an app that tracks your sleep. So you can either use your phone as kind of like this conduit of tossing and turning and movement and sound.
right.
Um, and you would just place your phone. You go into like the app Pokemon Sleep, you hit like you're going to bed, and you kind of stick it on the edge of your bed or like
Yeah,
under your pillow or whatever, and it tracks like the tossing and turning and the movement and the noise and stuff. And it'll actually tell you like, oh, you were rolling around a lot, that kind of thing.
right.
But if you don't want to use your phone and just have it kind of like in that mode all night,
Yeah,
they came out with like a Pokemon Go Plus like Pokeball. And it's a
Yeah,
flat
yeah,
one. Like I have Mon got me one for Christmas a year ago or so.
right,
Um, and basically it's just like a little Pokeball. I don't have it in here with me right now, but it's a Pokeball. You just hold the button. It tells the thing it's going to sleep. You just put it like pretty much on your bed or under your pillow, away from kind of where you typically lay your head, because if you lay on it, it's going to turn it off.
right,
But you just put it in the bed, and it tracks like your sleep and your tossing and your turning and the noise and all that stuff. And then when you wake up in the morning, you just turn it off. And then it connects to your phone, and it provides you a bunch of like just data on how you slept. It gives you a
right.
sleep score and does all that stuff. The same essentially as like your watch would, but your watch is connected obviously to your heart rate and all of that stuff if you keep it on overnight. And typically I don't, you know, I did for a little bit just to track my sleep and see what that looked like. But,
Hmm.
you know, it's one of those things, I guess. Maybe when I get to a point where I think I need to track my sleep a little bit better for health reasons, then sure.
Right.
But I also want my wrist and skin to breathe. I don't need a watch just sitting on
Yeah,
my skin the entire
yeah,
time. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Uh, but
But
I guess,
that's what they said though. It was similar to what you're explaining, the Pokemon Go sleep thing.
yeah.
So basically, Nintendo ran with that and improved on it. I was just looking up the on the website. Um, Apparently, yeah, the biggest thing that their selling point is the motion sensor, where you're supposed to be able to, wave it off with gestures,
Yeah.
and every preloaded scene or theme that you pick to wake you up. So, like for example, there was showing example for the Mario.
Mhm.
You pick Mario. In the beginning, it's something gentle where it's like a game. So it's like a soft thing. And then when it reaches the end of the song or whatever it's portraying, um, someone will like you reach the end. So it's like Princess Peach will show up and kind of like talk to you to wake you up. And if you do a gesture to snooze it, it'll snooze for a certain amount of time, and then it'll like gradually play again to the next finish line, and it'll
Mhm.
be someone more aggressive. Like for example, I don't know, who puts the whatever all the way up to Bowser, pretty much. So it gets aggressive and aggressive each time, and then when you actually get up, the motion sensor should know that you got up, and then it'll be like a celebration. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine
So
like Mario doing his like wahoo,
yeah,
something like that. Something
yeah.
like that. But
So I guess it's pretty interesting, but it's pretty basic so far. I guess I have to see it in action, but you know,
yeah.
um,
I know,
very
yeah.
basic.
I just don't know. I don't know what to think. I know a lot of people were hoping for the Switch 2, but then I'm like, I don't know. There's nothing really wrong with the Switch at the moment. And technically
Mhm.
they came out with like a second version of the Switch. It's called the OLED edition, where it's just a bigger
Yeah,
screen and brighter.
yeah,
Um and I don't know. I mean, the Switch is kind of nice because you can take it on the go. It's not like you can take an
yeah.
Xbox or a PlayStation.
Right.
A PlayStation tried that for a little bit, and PSP,
Yeah, I remember the PSP.
which
Yeah,
was cool, but
it was cool. I actually loved the PSP back when it came
yeah,
out.
yeah, the PSP was dope. But it's
Yeah,
the game being that tiny still. I mean, same with Game Boy, right? Like you
yeah,
got these little chips, and it's like $60. I'm like, dang.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. You notice how like in the 90s when you had video game consoles, like all the video games were $60, and
Hmm.
you get to today's world and the games are still $60. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
like, oh, it's nice to see that that hasn't changed too much.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So at least that's consistent.
that's been consistent over the years.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, yeah. So I mean, I don't know what the Switch 2 will look like. I know everyone's like hyping it up and want to see Nintendo kind of move into the next generation of gadgets, I guess, or
Hmm.
hardware. Just because obviously the Xbox went to the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, and then the
Yeah.
PlayStation went to the PlayStation 5. They kept it simple. They didn't jump around all these weird things like Xbox did, but PlayStation's just been 1 through 5. Um,
Yeah.
so pretty straightforward on that one. But yeah, I don't know. the Switch 2 would be kind of cool, but it's not like I don't know if they would call it the Switch 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Because
think
like
it would.
it would change it. Because they had the NES, they had the Super NES, then they had the N64, the GameCube,
Mhm.
the Wii. Well, I guess the Wii was really the only one that they like. The Wii U was the only,
Right, right.
yeah,
The
because that one
Wii.
was like, oh, you get a control gamepad now, and then that obviously went evolved into the Switch essentially. But
Right.
um, yeah, and like I'd be interested to see if there's any pressure on Nintendo to really get a Switch 2 out, just because like the Steam Deck came out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Steam Deck.
I've heard of it, and I thought about kind of getting it because the only modern game system I have is the Switch, and it's kind of limiting with the games that I do want to play.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Steam Deck's pretty cool. Like you can obviously play like all the games that you would typically have on Steam on your Steam Deck. So that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. Um,
Yeah, because you could play more games on it, huh? Steam Deck.
yeah, I mean Steam Deck, it's like whatever your library in Steam is, most of those games are compatible on the Steam Deck. I mean Steam Deck is essentially just a mini computer.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, essentially. But it's cool. I mean, it's
I
pretty
mean,
dope. I've played one before. Just tested
yeah.
it out. A friend had one. And I was like, yes, I would definitely buy one of these.
Well, how do you with Steam, how do you like let's say you don't get the Steam Deck, how
Mm-hmm.
do you play games on Steam like without a Steam Deck?
So Steam is computer based.
Okay, so you have to have like
Yeah. So if you have a PC,
yeah,
you can technically even put it on your Mac. There's certain like iOS Mac games that you can play. Uh,
yeah,
but well, yeah, if you have a PC, Steam is kind of just like your engine, and it has a library of games. So like I think in my Steam, my game library, I probably have
mm,
like 500 games in there. Um,
jeez.
and you don't necessarily have to have all of them downloaded at one time. You can obviously uninstall them on a
Mm,
computer because it's way faster on a computer. So you just uninstall them when you don't want to play them or you're not going to play them. And if you have an itch to
right.
play them, you can go back and play them. So yeah, I mean, and Steam is cool because then you have your whole friends list on Steam and all that stuff. Same like the Switch and everything else. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool because then you can just play Steam games on a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But you can play, on your computer. That's how we before like Jackbox before that came
Yep,
to
I remember.
Switch and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was on Steam, pretty much Steam only, and one of us would have to hook up a laptop that had Steam and put it on a TV and do all that stuff. We're all sitting. I don't know. You remember those
Yeah,
days
I
where you had
remember.
like 12
Yeah.
people just sitting around one laptop screen and you're like, it's kind of small. But now you can obviously plug it into TVs and it's on a Switch. So it's kind of cool now. So I don't know. It's just one of those evolutionary things, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
I see
evolves
it.
to what it is now.
I
I was gonna
see like
say
there's
Steam Deck though, if you were to look at one, they do have the original version. It's on sale right now because they just came out with version 2 or their OLED version
yeah. If
mimicking
anything, man,
Nintendo.
I want something like efficient, like it's not a big thing, like for example,
Yeah.
like an Xbox that's gonna take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Um, all I want to do is just play Madden, That's like my only favorite game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Xbox Xbox might be a good one for you then.
Yeah. That's
Just
that's the only game I ever want to play. I'm just
because like
looking at
honestly, you could honestly hide the Xbox behind your TV because
yeah.
they sell mounting kits for Xboxes and
Oh,
consoles.
nice.
So
Yeah.
you can honestly like just mount it behind wherever and
Yeah.
hide it from view. And then just, still have the functionality of it.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of not wanting to see cables, wires, and out of sight, out of mind, like a lot
Yeah.
of people
Yeah.
mount their consoles behind their TV now. and then just kind of hides them.
Yeah.
And with the streaming stuff, like that's how I played Madden. I just streamed
Yeah.
the game, through cloud. I didn't even have to
I know
download
that's
it.
what I was hoping for, something like simple like that. But yeah, gaming is you got to have at least some sort of like I still have to buy some sort of hardware, right?
Yeah,
Because I was just
yeah.
looking it up on Steam Deck. It doesn't work for Mac. Like you need at least a Windows
Mm,
operating system, like a PC. But um, anyways, I'll probably hit up my cousin. I know he puts a lot to computers together, and I know last time I talked to him, he was thinking about selling or giving away his or at least not probably not giving it away, probably selling it at a cheap price, his
yeah,
gaming laptop. But yeah,
that'd be kind of
we'll
cool.
see. Yeah. Other than that, man, um, just keep it short and sweet. That's all I got for this week. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up and say goodnight?
Uh nah. It's I think just based off the topics we had today, just video games and
Mm-hmm.
Redbox.
Yeah.
Technology is just on the boom, man. It's just gonna keep going,
Yeah.
and we just gotta keep up. That's really
Mm-hmm.
all it is, and yeah, that's what we got to do. Just keep up with our modern technology, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing is we all have kind of a background in it, so we should be able to keep up. We're not like an iPad kid where you know
Yeah.
they come out the womb knowing how to fucking
Right.
use an iPad and a phone. Like, dang, didn't even teach you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no major updates from me.
All
Just
right.
yeah, just keep it simple this week, I guess.
Thanks, man. I love that. Keep it simple. Keep talking with each other. That's one thing that should never die as technology increases. Keep talking with each other. Keep growing together. See y'all next time.